If you're at your first job, you have this amazing opportunity to do something that not many people are doing. And you can
Yeah.
control the narrative, tell your own story, and have a distinct identity and perception, just like Apple.
Hi, Jacob. You have a book coming out in just 1 week, which is so exciting. Tell us a little bit about your book again. Why'd you write it and who is it for?
1 more week, it's real. Master your first job. I know,
Yes.
real copy. It's nice to hold in my hand here.
Yay!
Like, camera's not really
Show everyone
focusing
how
on
big
it,
it is,
but
like how thick it is.
it's not very
It's
big.
an easy read.
And that's on purpose. This is not so that I could get away with the shortest book I could come up with. It's 130 pages. It's about 28,000 words. It's supposed to be an easy read because I wrote this book because most first-time employees don't know how to successfully navigate their first job opportunity.
Yeah.
They get their first job, they get trained, hopefully get trained, and they get a paycheck, and their first job becomes just a line item on a resume and nothing more. And I hear so often that, oh, what was your first job? And before people even tell me what they did or where they worked, it's, well, my first job was just a job. And
wow, yeah,
that's what it becomes for most people. And so I believe that everyone deserves a plan to help them thrive at their first job and actually use their first job to advance their career and use it to their advantage so that it's more than a line item on a resume. So I wrote my book, Master Your First Job, for those people. This is teen, young adult. Master Your First Job. It's the remarkable path from first day to first promotion. I want to help people thrive in their first job, use it to advance their career. I talk about a lot in the book, and one of the things we talk about in the book we're going to talk about today, which is how to build a personal brand at work. And so love the book. Again, very thin, super easy read. If you have a high score that just graduated in May, June, I wrote this book for them. It's the perfect book, easy summer read as they're going into college, or even if you're graduating college, there's stuff in here you can take as you're entering the workforce. A lot of good stuff in here. We're going to talk about, honestly, my favorite chapter in today's episode.
I was just going to say, I'm like, we have waited for so long, but we're finally here to talk about your favorite chapter. This is something that Jacob and I talk about so often. It's just fun to talk about. And yeah, we're married, so it's like, why not? This is just one of our favorite topics, I guess. So let's talk about building your brand. But I want to kind of get into something more fun before we dive deeper. So tell us about your favorite personal brands or professional brands, whatever. And why do they resonate with you?
I'm going to go professional brands. I am a huge fan of branding. I have been for a long time. Even since I was a kid, was drawn to what logos looked good, different design elements. And when I say brand, when I was a kid, it was more almost like, what's your graphics package? Even little things. Like I remember noticing the different, it's called a score bug. So if you're watching a sporting event, and you see like where they keep the score and have the time and stuff, that it's called a score bug on screen. And so noticing the different score bugs and like, ooh, which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like. And
oh, that's funny.
I think like 2014 era ESPN college football is like the best score bug for football. But since I was a kid, I've noticed little things about brands, and a couple that I enjoy now as an adult. I mean, I'll start with Apple. I mean, if you're listening to this right now, you're probably 90% of you are listening on an Apple device. And Apple has done such a good job to build a brand where, I mean, my favorite thing now is just the ease of use and integration. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm an Apple fanboy. When a new product comes out, I'm at least considering pre-ordering it. Do not have the Vision Pro, but I mean, I'm sitting here recording on a Mac. I've got an iPhone I just shut. I've got the iPad. I've got an Apple Watch. And it's so nice because it all works together. And the customer experience on my end is phenomenal. Apple is not never, but they're hardly ever on the cutting edge of like trying new things and like being daring, and like, not anymore. They were a long time ago. But nowadays it's like they know their audience. They have a large audience. They have to serve a lot of different people. and they make sure that whenever they do roll out a product, it's perfect. And I think Apple encapsulates this. We don't have to be the first, but we're going to be the best.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Apple. Another brand I love is Nike. Nike, again, growing up, my favorite sports team, the Georgia Bulldogs, wore Nike. And so I was already like biased towards, well, my school wears Nike, so I'm going to wear Nike. But even like the quality of the shirts and like the polos I noticed were different. The football uniforms looked more clean. The template was better. The fonts were better. Even their commercials. Nike had the best athletes. So I mean, growing up, I mean, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer was Nike at one point. Like you have all these iconic athletes from multiple sports that were all signing with the best brand, which is Nike. And so for me, Nike was inspirational. It was aspirational of like, not to this extent, but it's like, oh, if you wear Nike, you too can golf like Tiger Woods. And I wanted to put that swoosh on my chest with a red polo and a black hat with a TW on it. And I wanted to go play golf like Tiger Woods. I still to this
That's
day,
so
I have Nike irons in the golf bag. Um, when Nike announced they were getting out of the golf equipment business, I went out and bought some Nike golf irons on sale so that I could have them whenever they were no longer being
nice.
made. So yeah, Nike's a brand I love as well. But Addie, I wanted to ask you the same question. What are some brands you love?
Yes. Well, um, if you know us and you're listening to this, I bet you can already guess my answer. It's Disney. Um,
I'm wearing the polo
I
today, so
Oh yeah, I love we I've loved Disney. I grew up in Tampa, so we would go not super often, but we would still go. And I mean, to a kid, it's so awesome to go to Disney. And I think just thinking about why I loved it as a kid and why I love it as an adult, I'm like the park specifically, the cast members are kind, they're efficient, they're thoughtful, they're always thinking of you and how to make your day the best day. And out of all of the people that are in the park, they're thinking of me, and you and whoever else is there. Like they want to make everyone's day the best day ever. More specifically, the I honestly, truthfully, to this day, it's one of my favorite days that I've ever lived on this earth.
yeah.
Was the day after we got engaged. The engagement day was awesome, but the day after we got engaged, we went to Disney with some of our friends, and it was just so cool because I was like, I just want a pin. That's all I want. I just want to show everyone. Like I've got the ring, but like
You're
I just
saying
want a Disney
the
pin.
button you wear that
Yes,
says
the
like
Disney
I'm
button.
celebrating. Yeah,
Yes, I was like, I'm celebrating my engagement. How exciting! Look at me. And
yeah.
then so that kind of prompted one of the cast members to be like, "Your ring," and I'm like, I know, right? Like, of course I'm gonna like play
Oh,
it
and at
up,
this
and I
point,
just
you're
love.
dying to show it off.
I am dying to show it off. I was just loving all of it, and so we're all chatting it up and we're laughing, and then you kind of see the cast members talking to each other in the corner, and then they turn back around to us. Now we had like a big party with us. I mean, I think it was like 8 or 9 people
I think it was 9. Yeah,
that were with us. And so the cast members are like, "All right, to make this day even better, you're getting the button. You're going to get a fast pass for everyone in your party." I think it might have been the 3 fast passes. And
it was
so,
6. We got
yes, we had
6
6
fast
total fast passes
passes.
for everybody. So it was like we could do whatever we wanted in Magic Kingdom. We were living
Right.
like kings. And then they gave us a free like snack voucher. So just at a random point during the day, we all got snacks for free. And so it was just the best day. And then like they included photo pass, but it was just the best time ever. And just knowing that like they cared so much. And then of course you're walking throughout the day and certain cast members are like, "Oh, you're engaged." They see my button. "You're engaged. Let's see the ring." Da, da. It was just such a fun. It was like a girl's dream. I don't know. I really loved the attention. As we talked about that though, brands wise, again, Target. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Just easy to shop.
Easy to shop, warm, inviting. I love it. They even like made little baby Target carts. And so our 2-year-old runs around in her little Target cart and it's
That's
just
right.
like, yeah, it's just adorable. My last one, and I'll be quick, is Spotify. I've been a Spotify user since like maybe the year after it came out. Like I've really
Early adapter.
Or yeah, I love it. It's so easy to use, and I say this every time, it's my favorite day of the year. Like, forget my birthday, forget Christmas. My favorite day of the year is Spotify Wrapped because I'm like, "Oh my goodness, look at all this music. They know me so well. Look at all this great music I listen to." No, but, I love Spotify. I love it all. Thanks for
Love it.
asking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, talking about brands and everything like that, what even is a brand, and how do you define that?
Great question. Brand's a term that's thrown around, especially now. It's a term that's gotten very, very popular. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of different definitions of brand. Here's how I would describe a brand. And it's kind of how we just described when we talked about, oh, why do you love this brand? And
Yeah.
it's an aura. It's a story that a company or a person is trying to tell that you get to be a part of. It is the feeling you get whenever you think of the company or see the logo. It is a
Yes, yeah.
distinct identity and a perception of something. That is a brand.
That's
And
good.
it's fun. I tricked you a little bit. Um, when I think about brands, we just described how we personally feel when we talked about Apple, Nike, Disney, Target, Spotify. Um, I went ahead and pulled up these companies' websites. I looked up their mission statement and core values just to see, like, hey, is what we feel aligning
Nice.
with what they're trying to do, right?
Yes.
So, Apple's mission is bringing the best user experience to its customers through its innovative hardware, software, and services.
Wow, that's, like, spot on.
And why did I describe why I love Apple? I'm like, it's so easy to use.
Yes.
The way all my devices integrate together, which that has to do with both the hardware I buy and the software they provide, the services they have. Nike, Nike. Oh gosh, sorry. We serve athletes is the short version of a larger mission statement. They have an asterisk, and if you have a body, you are an athlete, and they want to inspire action from athletes. And again, when I think about who Nike's partnered with, if you want to inspire people, they've partnered with the best athletes
For
in
sure.
the world. And so Nike, I feel like I am feeling what they're trying to make me feel as a brand, right?
Yes, that's cool.
Let's talk about your three, the Walt Disney Company. The mission of the Walt Disney Company is to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling. And
Perfect.
so, I mean, and they want to be the world's premier entertainment company. And I think with Disney, again, it's those magical moments because you get to be a part of a story, and
Yes.
you got to be the main character of a story that day, and that everyone
Yeah.
wanted to make your story special that day at Disney. Target, to help all families discover the joy of everyday life. It's a
Oh.
joy. It's a joy to shop at Target, right?
That's
Like,
awesome, yeah.
we joke all the time, not trying to throw shade at brands, but it's a lot more fun to shop at Target than it is at Walmart.
Yeah.
And that's because there's time, attention, and money spent to make sure that the shopping experience is better at Target. Spotify, this will be fun. Spotify's mission is to unlock the potential of human creativity by giving a million creative artists the opportunity to live off of their art and billions of fans the opportunity to enjoy it and be inspired by it.
Nice.
And so your Spotify Wrapped, you love it because you get to be inspired by the music you've listened to all year. And
Yes.
like, Spotify's really good about continually helping you get new music with the custom playlist and their
Mhm.
algorithm and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think even through that exercise,
Oh, that's
we've gotten
cool.
to see that what is a brand? It's a distinct identity or a perception. It's an aura. It's a story a company's telling. And the reasons we love the brands we described is exactly what it's the story they're trying to tell. And what
Yes.
that tells me is that brands are purpose built. They are
Mhm.
purpose built. There's a lot of time, energy, money, effort spent into making sure that, I mean, you think about a company like Apple, it's the largest company in the world. They have retail stores all over the country. How are they
Mhm.
ensuring that hundreds of thousands of employees are representing that same brand? It has to be intentional. And so a brand is a distinct identity or a perception. It's how someone feels whenever they think of your company or logo. And it's why when we see the little mouse logo on my shirt, we think about and we have, nostalgia is part of it. We have feelings associated with.
Yeah.
We had this amazing experience because of this brand. And that never happens by accident. That's what a brand is. That's how I define it. I think that's why it's really important that brands exist and that they're purpose built.
I love that. So, chapter 5 is all about personal brands, and we just talked
Yep.
about professional brands. So, is building a brand like Nike or Apple or Disney, whatever, the same as building a personal brand?
Yeah, great question. So, when I started with brands being a logo, right? And like what we think of. I don't know if you know this, but Phil Knight paid a Portland State student. Phil Knight, founder of Nike, he paid a Portland State student $35 to create the Nike swoosh, the iconic Nike swoosh. Since then, she's been given shares in the company,
I'm like, I
and
wonder how she's doing now.
she's doing fine now. He
Okay.
he came back and gave her some shares of Nike, and that are worth well more than $35.
Yeah, for sure.
um, but again, they're purpose built. It's a perception that you get to create about a company. Building a personal brand is the exact same thing. How would I define a personal brand? It is your distinct identity. It is your perception. It is the feeling people get whenever most people don't have a personal logo. Whenever they see your name written on a sheet of paper saying you're scheduled for
Yeah.
a shift, what's the feeling they get?
Wow.
That's a personal brand.
And
So
powerful.
is building a brand like Nike the same? No, in scale. Yes, in action. And that it's going to take intentionality. You need to decide, what do I want the perception of myself to be? What do I want the feelings to be that people get whenever they see my name written down on a sheet of paper scheduled for a shift? And that way, it is the exact same as building a brand for a company. Just on it's a smaller scale because it's personal. You're not having to build it for a global brand, but it is the same in action.
So, for your specific audience or your target audience, is
Yeah.
building a brand important for first time employees or young professionals?
Yeah, I wondered this myself because I thought about, I spent time at Chick-fil-A, and I'm like, obviously the Cathy family, the owners of Chick-fil-A, they've built a brand for their family,
Yeah.
right? And that very much aligns with the brand of Chick-fil-A, and that's a brand we definitely should have mentioned, of brands that we love and
Yeah.
enjoy. But I talk about Chick-fil-A a lot in the book. Tried to get out of that one. But I think, CEOs, Bob Iger, he needs to build a personal brand. CEO of Disney, right? Like Phil Knight, he needs to have a personal brand. But does did 17-year-old Jacob need a personal brand in his first job? The answer is yes, if you want to control the narrative that is being told about yourself. If you want to take control of your story
Wow.
and take control of your distinct identity and perception, then you need to be intentional about building a personal brand. And if it's something you think you need when you're 35 and in your career, then why in the heck wouldn't you start building it at your first job and start, building
Mm,
your personal brand whenever you take your first job opportunity?
for sure. Wow. How do people even go about starting to build a brand for themselves? I mean, that seems so abstract.
Yeah, so I broke it down in the book into these 3 steps. You need to discover your personal brand, refine your personal brand, and then represent your personal brand. And it's the same 3 steps at a high level that I believe every company takes in order to create a brand that is recognized and iconic for their company. So for discovering your personal brand, here's just a fun idea. So you and I are the same in this. I like personality tests, and what's funny is, given my personality, I'm typically the type that doesn't like personality tests. But
You
to
didn't at
me,
first, remember?
I didn't at first. To me, personality tests do not put you in a box. I think they actually just give you verbiage and words to
Mhm.
describe the way you are. And here's the thing: if you disagree with the result, disagree with it, forget about it, don't write it down. But if you find stuff when you take, and there's lots of personality tests out there I'll talk about, but if you find stuff you agree with and like, write down those
Mhm.
words. Because I'm sitting here trying to think about, like, gosh, how do I describe that? Like, everyone says they're driven, but like, I'm driven, and like, I like keeping score, and I want to win, and I'm competitive, and it's like, like, what, maybe those are good words to describe that. But it helped, when I read Enneagram 8, the Challenger, and I'm like, ooh, Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I'm reading stuff about like, oh, they have a justice-minded heart, and I'm like, I'm very justice-minded. That like, wow, like I've always felt that way, but I'm like, it's nice to see those words written down and
Mhm.
identify with. Yes, as I describe myself from now on, I want to make sure like that's something that's positive that I want said about myself. That Jacob's very justice-minded, and that
Yeah.
helped to give me that verbiage. So I believe in personality tests in that way. I want you to utilize personality tests. Take a few of them. Take one, take a few, find words that you like, and just start writing down every word that you love that describes who you are and who you want to be. Write down
Mhm.
25 words that describe who you are and who you want to be. So for me, it's, justice minded, competitive, futuristic, analytical. And I'm writing down all these things. Two, begin to refine your brand. I want you to refine these words, these adjectives to describe you down to three. Because the bottom line is if everything's important, then nothing's important.
Yeah.
And obviously, when people think of you, they'll think a lot of stuff. But I mean, even with the brands we just described, like Disney, it's like magical storytelling.
Yeah.
And that's in their mission statement. Like Nike, inspirational athletes. Boom. Like, yes, there are a lot, but there is stuff that is most important. So
Mhm.
refine these adjectives about yourself down to three. And so for my company at least, like our three are coach's mindset, high standard of excellence, and efficient. And these are this is what our brand wants to have represented about, ourselves with waves. And so
Mhm.
what does this look like for you? For me in the restaurant at that time, it was driven. I think I said results driven back in the day. Um, I kept efficient
Yeah.
and caring was what I said of like, hey, I'm at that point I was a very low level leader in the restaurant, leading other people and pretending like I knew how. And I wanted to make sure that hey, I am results driven. I want people to know I care about them as a leader and as a person. Like I care about them personally, and that I'm going to find the most efficient way to get things done. And it was really important to me that those three things stuck out about me. And then lastly, represent your brand. I encourage you to share it with other people. Tell other people, like, hey, I want to be known as someone who is results driven, efficient, and caring for others. What this does is it adds a layer of accountability. If I told you that's how I want it to be represented, then as we go places, if I'm being not caring, and you know that I've told you that I want
Yeah.
to be known as someone who's caring, you can say, "Hey, I know you told me you wanted to be caring, so just so you know, you're not acting caring right now." And now I have some built-in accountability of how to represent my brand well again and again and
Right.
again. And so that's the framework I lay out in the book of how do you build a personal brand, discover your brand, and pro tip: if you take one personality test, say it's the Enneagram, and you're like me and you get Enneagram type 8, go on ChatGPT and type in, give me 25 adjectives to describe an Enneagram type 8, and just get a list of words and start picking out the ones you like. Give me 100 words that describe an Enneagram type 8 and just pick out the ones you love and refine that
That's
down.
funny.
Refine it down to three, represent that well, write it down, share it with others, and then take action. Again, it has to be intentional to
Mhm.
start representing that at work.
Brilliant. That's awesome. So, let's kind of shift to an employer mindset.
Yep.
How can an employer help young employees think about and help them build their personal brand?
I think one, teaching about the importance of it, and
Yeah.
starting with, hey, do you care about what the perception of others are of you, like in this workplace? Do you care about that? Because 99% of people do care about how they're perceived by other people.
Yeah.
And so teach them about, hey, you have the opportunity to control the narrative and build your personal brand. So teaching them that, hey, you have this opportunity to build something now that you will use for the rest of your career. And
Mhm.
if you're an employer listening to this, again, these are one of those things that, the younger workforce, young millennials, barely anymore, but Gen Z, and we're coming up on Gen Alpha, like getting in the workforce is not far away. So if you're an employer, you have Gen Z, these are one of those things that they're looking for. I think employers have struggled with, I can't figure out what these young employees want. Like, I've tried, they're making more money than I ever did at their age. And, that's not working. And the thing is, it's not just money. They want to find purpose and meaning and align with where they're working. When they don't find that, they're going to go somewhere else and find it somewhere else. And so,
Yeah.
if they have a leader that's helping them see the importance of a
Mhm.
personal brand and teaching them that it's something they can start now and use 10 years down the road, they're going to stay longer and work harder while they're with you. Um,
Yeah.
to just help them with this process and help add that accountability, a healthy level of accountability to represent it well at work. And so be that trusted leader they can go to and say, hey, I've built my brand. I've decided on these three adjectives. And it's, I want to be known to someone who's positive, hardworking, caring for others. And it's like, awesome. Like, write it down so there's not just a conversation that they have with you. And then you can go to them and say a week later, hey, compliment them. I've really noticed how positive you've been on your shifts and that you said you wanted to be that. I've noticed that. Like, great
Yes. Yeah.
job. You're adding that positive reinforcement. The A, you listen to them. You wrote
Mhm.
something down they said. You care enough to follow up. And not just when they don't, when they don't represent that well, but when they do represent it well, you can go and compliment them and say, hey, I know you said you wanted to be intentional about this. I've noticed it like a lot on your shifts. Keep up the good work. I cannot tell you how much that does for a person, and it costs you nothing. It
Yeah.
costs you a 30-second conversation and typing a note on your phone. It costs you
Right.
nothing. So you can pay, so you can reap so many dividends from pouring into your employees, and it costs you a little bit of time, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say that too, like just calling things out of people. Like, hey, have you noticed that you're super hospitable? You could really use that
Mm,
in this area. Or, you
that's
are
so good.
very, very like kind. Have you noticed, or whatever words you want to put, like, because I specifically your target audience, I think on the younger end of your target audience, they might not even know how to put words to who they are or what they're good at. So a leader just being like, "You're really, really good at this," like then that would encourage them to just keep going. But
Right.
I've got one last question for you. You kind of talked about it a little bit, but tell me again. Did you build a personal brand in your first job?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about it, but when I didn't really do it until I became a leader, and so I was behind
Okay.
the eight ball of what I'm encouraging young employees to do now, but I
Yeah.
did do it, and I did it even later on. I mean, the last few years of my career, where I've really honed in on it, and it's something that I wish I had practiced when I first started. So, when I was young leader, though, those three words were results driven, caring, and efficient. And what small story of I got promoted to be a leader after two leaders walked out and quit on a Saturday. Just like walked out, left middle of the shift, quit,
Oh my
and Monday
goodness.
morning I was getting handed, a set of keys and being trained, not really, on how to be a leader.
Wow. I didn't realize
Um,
that. Nice.
and so, me and someone else got that wonderful opportunity.
Oh, cool.
And the thing is, because we had high standards for ourselves, we had high standards for the business, and we wanted to do things differently than how they had been done. And this is no offense to the leaders before us, but it was very much like the way things had always been done is how we're going to do them. Whatever gets us out of here by 10:15 every night, we close at 10.
Mhm.
That was what was prioritized, and we wanted to prioritize guest experience, speed of service, cleanliness, hospitality, like all the
Yeah.
things that we felt like we were getting paid to do and are important to our business. But not just because like it was our job, but because we had personal high standards of how we wanted to represent ourselves. And so like uh we had negative perception of us when we first stepped in because we're like, hey, like first thing we did was, and this is horrible, we're like, we used to pre-close a lot. If you've worked a first time job, you probably understand the term pre-close, but like, hey, like, we have four lemonade machines. We're going to close two of them down before we close at 10 o'clock because we can still have lemonade in two of them. And like, it's hurting nothing to close two of
Yeah.
them before 10 o'clock. So that's pre close stuff. And you're allowed to do that at Chick fil A still. Like certain stuff you can pre close, certain stuff you can't. But they were pre closing a lot of stuff. And so to get people out of the mindset of let's get out of here by 10:15. This is horrible. For like a week or two, we didn't do anything until 10 p.m. when we closed. And we stayed there till, we sent some people home because, high scores had to go to bed. But,
Yeah.
and we were there till 11:30 midnight, just like, we'll finish it up. But we had to get out of the mindset of get out of here first. So that led to some negative perception of us as leaders. And I did this exercise and wrote down, like, I really want to be known as this, this, and this. And it was results driven, which I was, and I was already representing that. But I'm like, I really need to bring out this caring piece. And so I started being really intentional on the shifts of like getting to know people on a personal level so that they knew when I'm asking to do these tasks, it's not that I just think they're, a number on a sheet of paper that outputs work and, goes home, that I really did care about them as a person. And so that was really big in helping me like build my personal brand of, hey, I don't just want to be known as a results person. I also have to add this care piece or else it's not going to work for me as a leader. And I added that and I was intentional about it. And it paid dividends later when, hey, we're still getting out of here by 10:25 and everything's being done superbly. And people don't hate me as a leader. And I help to control that perception. So I did this early on. I've redone this at every stage of my career of like, okay, for this job, what do I need to be known as? And what identifies in my core identity. And that's how, I built a brand then and I still do it to this day. So I think it's so important. If you're at your first job, you have this amazing opportunity to do something that not many people are doing. And you can control the narrative, tell your own story, and have a distinct identity and perception, just like Apple.
Perfect. Yes, I love it. Well, awesome. Master Your First Job comes out in just 1 week where you
July
can learn
23rd.
more. July 23rd, where you can learn more about building your personal brand. But yeah, thank you so much, Jacob.
5. Thanks, Addie. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Waves Business Coaching Podcast. Most first-time employees do not know how to navigate their first job opportunity. Everyone deserves a simple plan to help them thrive at their first job. My new book, Master Your First Job, is the remarkable path from first day to first promotion. In this book, I teach young employees how to build a personal brand at work, give and receive good feedback, how to get their first raise, how to get their first promotion, and most importantly, how to use their first job to advance their career. The book comes out July 23rd in just 3 weeks and is available right now for pre-order on Amazon, which you can do using the link in the episode description. When you buy the book, I'm also giving away the audiobook and a 15-minute video summary for free. I'm big on making sure that people can actually learn and put into action what I teach in the book. And I want to make sure that whether you learn by video, audio, or reading a book, that you can actually learn what's in the book. So I'm giving away those for free with every purchase of the book. Find out more at masteryourfirstjob.com. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Take care.